Right, now let's do a side plank crunch, and then we'll follow that by a seated or a supine heel tap, and then we'll go to the side plank crunch on the other side, and we can do a prone toe tap for another cool sequence to follow. So we're going to go onto the right hand side as we've done before. We'll work off that right knee, and this time all we need to do is keep the hip up and we bring the knee to the elbow. Exhale, breathe in, exhale, breathe in. Right, as a matter of interest, if you want to work the adductors, the muscles on the inside of the left leg, as opposed to more the muscles on the outside of the right hip, we can get that right foot on the ground, and then the left leg will just simply come up and back and up and back, or forwards, up, back, back. Now we're going to work off the right, and we're going to do exactly the same. Keep those glutes tight, keep the shoulders stabilized. And lower, and sit down as we go into supine position. Right, in this position here, I like to go up onto the fist. We need to really work into the glutes a lot. So from there, we're going to bring the foot up and focus on pressing the heel of the other foot down. You have to be fairly quick for that one. Right, let's lie on the left-hand side. Let's kick the lower leg back. Lift the hips off the ground. Try to really get a nice good stretch of the leg and arm before you crunch in. Remember to keep your left hip off the mat. Let's work into straight leg. And then finally, let's work a toe tap. So we'll lift our knees off the mat like this, and we're going to bring the right hand to the left foot or the left knee. We'll start at the knee. So bring your knee in, makes it quite a lot easier. And then we can work into the foot. Bring your knee up towards your elbow. Load the opposite arm. Right, and then rest. This will be an appropriate time to go into a Spider-Man push-up, which is just another variation of doing a plank with a push-up. So we're adding in a mountain climber, which you may recall was this movement. But instead, as we bend the elbows, we bring the knee to the bent elbow, like this. Let's rest in the back before we go to our next movement, which will again be on the side. But this time, let us do a straight arm side bend. Prior to this, we've been working off the elbow and the forearm. Now we'll work off the hand. We'll go into our side position. Bring your left foot across in front of your right, and so that you don't overly strain your shoulder, there will be quite a lot of load on it. Get your hand a little bit further out from the perpendicular to the ground and shoulder. Right, so here we're just going to lower the hips and lift. Breathe in, exhale up, breathe in, and let's go to the other side. Exactly the same. Lower, lift, lower, lift. Keep your gaze fixed up on that hand. And now let's take it into a Spider-Man side bend. So we'll go down, and well done. Rest. Still continuing in our plank series, let's work into the hips a little bit more. So what we'll do here is we'll straighten up and we'll lean down onto the right side, elevating the left leg and the left arm, and let's do straight leg circles from the hip, bringing the heels down, back and up. And then we'll change direction, up, back and down, keeping your leg as straight as you can. Right, now let's extend the left arm forward and let's do swings. So we're working into the abdominals and obliques as we swing the leg forward, and we're working into the glutes as we bring that leg back. Breathe in, back, exhale forwards. And then let's go over to the other side and do exactly the same. So I'll be working on the right leg this time, turning the foot in big wide circles backwards and up, and changing direction. And then let's do and rest. Now I'd like to just go through two other exercises that are really useful in terms of the front. We see them a lot. The one is the bicycle crisscross, which I'm a great fan of, but I believe it has to be done correctly. And in this instance, it's really important that we keep the lumbar vertebrae flat on the mat. So we'll lower down, connect your lumbar vertebrae flat to the mat, extend your arms and legs out, bring your hands to lightly cradle your head, let's say we'll bring the right knee up, and then we'll lift the shoulder blades up off the mat just a little bit, enough that we can twist to that right knee. And then we'll interchange legs and twist to the left. Notice how I've straightened out on my right leg. Breathe in, exhale, breathe in, exhale. Very lightly cradle your neck with your hands. If you feel it's too much, then float your hands. And then just bring the knees up to the elbow, which makes it a lot easier. All the time, lumbar vertebrae flat on the ground. Right, let's rest. Now the next one, which would be a really useful partner exercise to this, would be a pelvic press. So from here, we can work off both feet. We just press the hips up and lower, exhale up, breathing down. Alternatively, you can stretch the other leg up, and we're going to press the hips up and down,
just working off one leg. And then let's try working off the right with the left leg up. So having worked the posterior chain, let's go back again to the anterior chain. And let's do a leg and arm crunch. So we'll stretch our arms and legs out. There will be a small gap between your lumbar vertebrae and the mat in the neutral spine position. But very importantly, as we crunch up, we want to sink the lumbar spine into the mat and then exhale as you bring your knees towards your chest, but without lifting the lumbar vertebrae off the mat. Breathe in, stretch back. Try to keep your lumbar vertebrae imprinted into that mat all the time. And you can do 10 to 20 of those and then rest. Now another excellent exercise, lying supine, is, and let's just lie this way, is the supine windscreen wiper. So extend the arms out to the side, try to keep your elbows off the mat, breathe in, and then exhale just about 30 degrees to the right, breathe in, exhale 30 to the left. And that will work your internal obliques, which are responsible in part for rotating on the spine. So we're going to now do some more plyometric or dynamic movements in a plank position. And the first is going to be a squat thrust, or what we call a prone tuck jump. So let's again work into the forearms and just jump the feet forward and back, nice and light. If you want to, you can work up onto your hands as well. The next movement I'd like us to try will be in a supine position. So here we're going to kick the legs out and stamp the foot down on the ground. And that'll work your hamstrings quite significantly. Right, the next exercise we're going to be doing is a slightly easier version of the tuck jump. So we're going to alternate legs. Which of course you can also do in this position. Now let's go into an oblique thrust. So from here, we're going to just simply bring the feet out to the side and back. And then finally, let's do a jackknife type movement. So we'll bring the feet up, back. And then for good measure, keeping the feet together, we'll jump them side to side. Which leads us to plank jacks. So just as we did the dynamic movements in the plank position, prone and supine, we're going to do the same with these sliders.
Equally, you could use a piece of rag, it has the same effect. So let's begin as we did before, but instead of jumping our feet, we're just simply going to slide our feet along the floor, on forearms on the mat, and instead of jumping the feet, we're just going to slide them forward and back. Remember to exhale to draw your knees up towards your chest. And then we can alternate legs. Although to be really honest, I find that with the forearms on the mat, there's limited movement of the knees, limited space. So we work off straight arms, and now it becomes a lot more practical. Still a very similar effect. Right, now my friends, this is where the going gets really tough. We want to work on our side. So let's work on that right side. Let's bring the left foot onto the slider behind, right foot onto the slider in front. And then just for good support to begin with, anchor your left fist into the floor and we'll lower the hips to the ground. But as we draw the knees up towards that left elbow, we'll raise the hips off the ground. And just with greater shoulder stability, it becomes a really good exercise, as I hope you see. Now let's go to supine position before we go on to the left. So, sitting down just in front of the mat, we're going to work off the fists and we'll slide those legs out and back. Again, working into the hamstrings very much like we did when we jumped our feet back and forwards. Notice how I sit down then sit up as I alternate leg outward thrusts. Right, awesome. Time to work on that left side. So left foot goes behind the right. That's important for this one. We're going to work off the fist first and draw the knees up to the right elbow. And then, if you feel you're good, right. So, a few exercises with the sliders, which certainly add a lot of intensity to the midsection area and also work into your quads, hip flexors, your glutes and your hammies. Well done. So I'd like to finish off with a short series having used the sliders. Now we'll work with the ball. So let's begin supine position. We'll get our feet onto the north pole of the ball. Our arms are down at our sides, elbows off the ground, and we're just going to lift the hips up, do a leg curl with a pelvic press. Exhale as you press up, breathe in as you stretch your legs out, heels on top of the ball. Right, having done that exercise, let's take our feet to the equator of the ball. We'll stretch our arms back, keeping the lumbar vertebrae flat on the ground as we lift the legs and arms. Exhale up, pass the ball to your hands, breathing back. Lower your legs really slowly and focus on the eccentric movements of the abdominals as we lower the legs, either with the ball or without the ball. Now we'll roll onto our left side and we'll do what is called a McGill side bend. In order that the ball doesn't roll backwards or forwards, you need to tighten into the glutes and into the abs. So, if you need to, begin with your right hand on the mat, just to afford you a little bit more stability, and then lift and lower your hips, exhaling up, breathing in, down. When you feel comfortable doing that, anchored well and supported by that left shoulder, we'll do exactly the same. Remember to keep the glutes tight, although you're working from the obliques. Right, in transition to the other side, let's go into an exercise that we've done before without the ball. We'll take our arms down to the side and we'll do a windscreen wiper movement. Exhale down, breathing up. And well done. Right, let's work on that other side. So we'll turn onto the right, I know I won't be facing you. And we'll work off the lowest regress level, which is to have the fists on the ground. We'll lift the hips up and down. Keeping the glutes tight, we'll raise the hips up and down with that left arm vertically extended. Right, once we've done that, supine, let's take the ball and go into a prone position. So this is a great one if you really feel like your abdominals need a little bit more challenge. We can do a tuck. We can do a pike as well. So in this case, we straighten the legs, and then we could do a pike after another tuck. And then if you really feel like you're up to even more of a challenge, why not try to do a Spider-Man? So we have to keep those glutes and obliques this time very tight as we descend to Spider-Man. Keep those glutes tight. And well done. It's quite tough, as I hope you can see, but super effective.